So eyewear is really one of those really interesting categories when it comes to styling and sort of creating an image, self-image, I should say, when wearing either actual prescription lenses or wearing fashion glasses or wearing even sunglasses or wearing readers. And I don't know if there's a lot of context out there in terms of personal nuanced experience when it comes to things like this. So I thought I'd share a little bit about what I've been wearing glasses wise because I do wear prescription lenses. And this pair I actually got recently. This is from VisionWorks, which is the company I use personally to sort of get my prescription lenses, and they had sort of like their in-house brand. This is from their in-house called Robert Mitchell, I believe. I did read on Reddit a little bit in terms of like where it came from. It is sort of like their in-house brand. Supposedly on the higher end, pre-insurance, I think the retail price for this was going around maybe $150, and then afterwards I paid probably $50. Very fortunate to have some decent insurance. And I thought I'd share in terms of the shape that this is a sort of like a rectangle shape, and then there's sort of like a hard and fast rule when it comes to eyewear in general, and that you kind of want to go with a shape that contrasts, and I would even dare say sort of opposite in terms of the approach or the shape that you should wear depending on the sort of shape that you actually have for your head. So, for example, if you have like very round features, you want to wear very geometric or very square or very rectangle shapes. And on the opposite end, if you have very definitive sort of lines, then you kind of want to wear more rounder shapes to sort of soften some of those edges. And while those are sort of like hard and fast rules, you can kind of adjust them, of course, because style is subjective. But ideally, you just want to make sure you work with your optometrist and the people who help support in terms of like your eye health, in terms of like what your pupillary distance is, what the size you should be wearing in terms of like your head shape and so on and so forth. And I went with this pair specifically because I wanted something that was like more rectangle. This was going to be the first of three that I have, and this is sort of interesting because I love how when I smile it clears my cheekbone, because I really, personally speaking, I really don't like when my cheekbone touches the bottom of the glasses, and I think you should be able to clear it anyway as you smile. And yeah, and interestingly enough, even though this is sort of like a rectangular shape, I love the way, sorry, I love the way that this sort of cat eyes almost, interestingly enough, because that's kind of what I wanted, but I didn't want to commit to a full cat eye shape. And traditionally, I don't really see a lot of men wearing like cat eye shapes in general. I'll normally see that on women. And I had to kind of look and dig a little deep historically wise. Yes, there have been some men, I think back in the day, in the terms of like the 19, I'm probably shooting out of my rear behind this, probably around like the 50s or 60s or so. And then you really didn't see that shape as often or quite often since. So I thought I would sort of lean towards it, but not commit towards it. And it's not necessarily a gender thing. It's more of just like a shape and definitive thing because I wasn't quite sure if I even liked it. So I thought I would go something where I can kind of work towards it, and went with this specific shape. Prior to these pair of glasses, I did wear these types of glasses quite a lot. And these are also from Zenny Optical. Sort of like this red pair also wore blue pair, slightly bigger, is what they call their courtside. I think they actually retired this frame. There's a newer version that's bigger, which is actually this one. They actually call this one the courtside on Zenny. I do order a lot of my frames from Zenny because I find them affordable and I really do like the shape and how they look. And this is like the one I wore the most. I did have a clear pair, like a transparent pair that I had from iBuyDirect. Tried those. The only problem is I kind of broke them by accident. So it's been a couple years since I've actually had to change the prescription. And once I broke those, I told myself, hey, it's time. So anyway, the first pair you saw was from VisionWorks. The second pair is one of my favorite pairs, actually. And I actually wore this the past couple of days. This is one of their best sellers on Zenny.com, which is the Titletown frame. And I drew inspiration in terms of picking this specific frame. Number one, it was the size that I wanted, an XL, because, I do have a wide frame in terms of forehead and size. And as well as like it accommodated the pupillary distance that I had. I do have a high grade. And second, really just the two main inspirations and muses that I came to thinking about when picking this pair was, number one, meeting Elijah Harris at Alfargo's Marketplace. I really love the way he picked a pair of lenses that was very unique to him. He shops at Aquila, and he is a huge fan of the way they make their glasses. And I love how distinctive the frames were to him, in that when he wore them, you knew it was him. And that was sort of like a huge inspiration to me personally, because it reimagined the way I view eyewear, because I wanted something that was overstated but signature, that's incredibly wearable. So I had to come up with a bunch of different ideas, and sort of like I had to find some points of inspiration. And one of my other points of inspiration for the second sort of muse behind this idea was Tom Ford. Tom Ford wears an incredible amount of aviator glasses that I do admire, and I think that's very signature to him. And both of these muses, both Elijah Harris as well as Tom Ford, are just great, great references to me personally, in terms of like where my style is sort of headed. I wanted something very distinct, very wearable, but also has character that is congruent to who I am in my growth. So this is where I went. Love this pair. I'm definitely going to wear this. It has a very editorial look that I'm kind of reaching for and leaning towards recently, especially in my sartorial business casual pursuit. And last but not least, I also wanted a pair, and this is also from Zenny.com, where I wanted a summer pair that goes well with the jewelry that I normally wear gold. And I wanted something that'll sort of open my face, as opposed to the Title Towns, which sort of caricatures my approach. Is actually this pair. This is the geometric pair, and from a distance, you would sort of, on first impression, would see a very round frame, which juxtaposes the idea I was mentioning earlier. You want to go with more geometric, square, rectangle for sort of like a rounder face or an oval face. Because oval, if you have an oval face, you are blessed, because you can literally wear any pair. But anyway, I'm sort of in between. I kind of lean more towards the round. I do have an oval face, but it kind of leans more towards the round face for sure. So now, upon choosing these frames, I love the way that it sort of opens up my cheekbones, but at the same time, when you come closer, you realize they're actually geometric. They have somewhat of a definitive shape and edge without compromising the fact that they appear round. So I really love that, and I think that's where I am in terms of approaching style. It is sort of like this look close but look closer still approach. And yeah, I mean, those are the three pairs I've been wearing. And go get your eye exam. Have fun with exploring eyewear. Enjoy the process. And yeah, it's just yet another place where we can put our thoughts and energies towards, in terms of style and expression.